You're showing in your voice that is hot. Ekpele.
Thank you.
We just wanted you to taste a bit of, Nigerian weather a bit.
Nigerian weather. I was in Nigerian weather for over and then back to a hotter region. But it's okay. God is good.
Yes, so we are grateful. We are grateful. You have the floor, PF.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon for those of us in Africa. If you have friends who haven't joined, please kindly remind them. It looks like people are in holiday mode, and then so kindly remind your friends, share the link with them, get them to join this important session. I want to appreciate all of us. So good, do that. Once you have sent this mail to a message like 5, 6 people, just put on the chat box, done. Okay, let's see how many of us have done that. So get them in. Now, I want to appreciate all of us for a job well done. It's been 6 months of the year, and then the 6th month ends today. And I want to really, really appreciate, we love to review what we've done. And this month we've been looking at, health, right, and wellness. And that's very important. And I want to believe that you have really taken time out to implement what we're learning. It's not just enough to come here. It's most important for us to implement. We are a new movement that will determine what will happen. That is given. There is nobody that can stop that. However, we need to not just listen and get excited every Sunday. We need to implement. Now, at the beginning of the year, we told you about where we were at in our journey and then where we're going and what we need to do this year. And so I am going to make a bit of announcement. And, as we move ahead this year, right? Because it's the month of July. And so I will talk to us briefly, and then I'll share a bit of what I have to share today, and then we'll be done. It's not going to be a long meeting. And so if you have questions, if you have testimonials, how has the meeting impacted you, you might want to raise your hand and I'll call you. Okay, so this July is the month of Sabbath in House of Saviors. We try to observe Sabbath. Thank you very much, Favor. Favor is done. Where are the other people? All right, have you invited your friend? So we observe the month of Sabbath in House of Saviors. And what is the whole idea behind Sabbath in House of Saviors? We realize that you can come in here and get addicted to listening and learning that you do not have time to rest. I was in Nigeria for like 4 weeks, and I noticed too many programs, too many events. When I was growing up, it used to be a Sunday thing. Then it became Saturday was taken. Then all public holidays, there will be programs organized. Then you do New Year, you do 40 days, you do 25 days, you do 21 days. Then mid-year, you can see there are so many programs, right? Then it became weekly fellowship, then it became daily meetings and all. The question I'm asking in the midst of all of this is, we ask as leaders is, when do the people rest? When do they rest? Do they actually have time to rest? Do the people still rest? Or people's life have been overtaken by programs that they can't measure, right? And so we don't want to fall into that error of just owning your life, getting you to come in and get excited. Planning events is not a problem, right? The question is, do the people reflect? Because an unexamined life is not really worth living. That if you don't have, even God rested on the 7th day. And so in the month of July, there will not be any meeting, right? We are going to rest. And when I mean rest, I'm not saying leave House of Savior and go and be attending other programs and other meetings. If you don't rest, then it will not be because we didn't allow you to rest. It will be because you chose not to rest. They said that rest or you'll be late to rest. I don't believe that we should be late to rest, right? So July is Sabbath. There will not be meetings all through the month of July. We resume back first week in August. And so we want you to take a vacation go around with your children, spend moments with them, start meetings that you would normally gravitate towards. Because many of the meetings are recycling the same thing, the same information year in, year out, and it gets you excited. At the end of the day, you can't really pick what you have implemented from the meeting. So that is one. And I love the way Jesus puts it. He says, are you tired, worn out, burn out on religion? Come to me, get away with me, and you will recover your life. So he didn't say you recover your life by going from meeting to meeting or from program to program. He says, come away, get away with me, and you will recover your life. He said, I will show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me and walk with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me and you will learn to live freely and lightly, right? And so I want you to take a trip with yourself, a trip with God, a trip with your loved ones, put pictures out there, share, have good conversation, eat good meals, go to places you've never been to or will ordinarily not go, and just have a good time with yourself in the month of July. Okay? If you are going to promise me or make a commitment that you are going to rest in July, can you type yes? Let me see how many people are making a commitment to saying that they are going to rest. You're not going to be jumping around from one program to another. Okay, you're going to really, really observe your rest in the month of July. Let me see, only 2 people. Okay, 3. Now, where are the other people? Okay, thank you very much, Auntie Ngozi. I know some people, no matter what we say, they will still jump from one program to the other. Well, God will help you. Okay. Larry, okay, Larry, I thought you wanted to say something. Okay, good. Well done. So let's rest, guys. Now, number 2 is, if you look at what we've done this year, we started January with Partnership for Prosperity and Impact. We then went to the gold mine of wealth and love. March, we looked at building your personal war chest. February to March, Visayo took us on a long session, on a long journey. And then April, we looked at the Black Billionaire series. May, we continued the Black Billionaire series. And God's Will was here. I think TPF was there. And I'm sure that you have your notes. You have all the videos available on YouTube. You can go back to them, and they are so deep and detailed, right? June, we started looking at our health and wellness. And last week was a masterclass by Mina. So July is Sabbath. Then we come back in August, business across borders. Then we go to September, building a legacy as an African. That's where we have our anniversary. And then we will have, a bit of workshop there about. Okay, so we said it's a year of partnership for prosperity. Now, the other announcement is that we announced at the beginning of the year that we needed volunteers for our teen department because we wanted to take care of our children while we are busy doing whatever we do on Sunday. And so the first project for the teenagers, the people in charge of the teenagers or your teenagers is ready, right? They are starting a teen devotional. And I think it starts in the month of July, right? And so there is a link where you can get your teenagers to go, every day and read up what they have in there for them. They've done a whole lot from the writing part to the recording audio part. So he has the podcast model, but he has the one that you can read as well. And so, Sharon, I think you can help them put a link in there. You can click on the link and go subscribe. So there is something for your teenagers every day that they can read and reflect on. So we have it there. Mary Jane has put it there. So you can go in there and then get it for your teenagers every day. They can always read, and then you can ask them, what did they learn, right? It's self-paced. They can do it themselves. Sayem is saying we can't copy, all right? Are you sure you can't copy? Once you just click on the link, it should take you to the page, right? So if you have any teenager, someone might ask, can a child who is not a teenager read it as well? Yes, any child that can read and write can actually understand what is there, right? And so, so let's spread the word. Let's share with other parents. It is free, right? I think we need to appreciate our teens team led by Shen Shikoyer. Shen was on top of that project, and then with quite a number of people. Benson, thank you everyone who worked, behind the scene. These guys were meeting 7 a.m. I joined a few of the meetings, but thank you. It's good to know that we have saviors in the building. Thank you, thank you, thank you. God bless you. Okay, so having said all of that, I hope you can now copy the link, right? So, and if you can't copy the link, it's very easy to, just look at the houseofsaviors.org/teen devotionals. Just put it on your browser and then it will take you there, right? I think all the materials for the month of July is ready. They are uploading August. And so if you want to join them and support them to write and to maybe record or something, please talk to Shell. These people are working behind the scene and a lot is happening. Okay, having said that, there is a webinar that is free next week. We do State of the African Family Union every year, which is where we talk about the latest development about African families. One of the biggest challenges we're having right now in our community, especially in diaspora, is the rate of divorce. I have about maybe 8 to 10 men whose lives are totally miserable right now because they lost out in the divorce battle to their wives who they brought to North America. And a lot of them, I can tell you safely, 6 out of the 8 are almost depressed. And then we're managing them. Some of them are squatting right now because they've lost their accommodation. These were guys who had houses before they brought in the wife from Nigeria. And then some of them started learning bad things. And before you know it, he ended in divorce and these guys lost everything. Right. So we have a state where we're going to be talking about real issues. So you want to use the scan code and invite your friends for that meeting on Sunday next week, right? It's 8 p.m. Nigerian time, 2 p.m. Central time, if you can make it. But if you have gone for your holiday, it's fine. Go for your holiday. I was the one that said you should rest. So keep resting, okay? You don't have to attend. But if you can attend, that will be bonus as well. Okay, so having said that, today, as we go for our holiday, I'm just going to quickly run through 7 forces that govern the world that you must not be ignorant of, because I realize that ignorance is the deadliest disease that exists on the planet. And the people who are victim of ignorance the most are good people, or because they are naive, right? A lot of things happen, around the world that good people don't pay attention to. And so good people actually think that they have power. But if you look at their ability to translate their power to, from potential to kinetic energy, you realize that they can't really translate it. And so it's often because they do not understand how the world operates. And when I talk about the world, I don't mean the earth. I mean the systems that govern the distribution of this planet, right? And so there are a couple of things I quickly want you to reflect and think on, and I'll share maybe 4 of those 7 forces because of time. And like I said, I don't want us to stay unnecessarily today. I want us to be able to finish on time. Number 1, there is nothing you need that is not in the hand of someone else. There is nothing you need that is not in someone else's hands. You need to understand that. Unfortunately, the bad news is the good news is that everything you need is in someone else's hand. The bad news is that it is not in good people's hands only, right? It's in the hand of the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? And so if you don't learn how to connect, I hear people say, you know what, there is nothing an unbeliever has that I will need. There is nothing in the hand of a sinner that I will ever need. Anyway, they play. That's the way to say it in Nigeria, right? And so you need to know that if you don't learn how to connect, right, you're going to lose out from the power equation. There's nothing you need that is not in someone else's hand. Number 2, there is nothing you want to do that someone in history hasn't done, right? There's nothing you want to do that someone else in history hasn't done. So you need to search and discover patterns. Patterns are predictors of the future. So you need to search, dig deep, research, and discover patterns. Number 3, The pace you're traveling is your choice. Nobody can stop you if you accelerate. So Bible says that, fear not, old little children, it is your Father's will to give you the kingdom. It's your Father's desire to give you the kingdom, right? And so you need to know that you are not traveling at the pace. When people say this is the way God wants me to travel, oftentimes it's not correct. You are traveling at the pace you have chosen to travel. So you need to decide and move. Number 4, love for humanity is key to unlocking every innovation, but system is key to sustainable success. So if there is hatred in your heart for a group of people, you need to uninstall it and build systems. Because God told Abraham, through you, all the families of the earth will be blessed. The question is, can God entrust what all the families of the earth will need to you, right? And so if there's a group of people that you can't stand, call them gay, call them straight, call them Muslims, call them Buddhists, call them atheists, right? Then it means God cannot entrust what they need into your hand. So you need to uninstall hatred and build systems. And number 5, when you decide to vibrate at the highest level possible, consistently producing results with your team, you move beyond rules and regulation. Cristiano Ronaldo moved to Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia says if you are not married, you cannot live with a woman, right? But Cristiano Ronaldo was going to bring a lot of investment to Saudi Arabia. So they suspended that rule for him. Now, what it means is there's a certain level that you are operational at, that you become indispensable. And once you become indispensable, rules will be broken for your sake. So you want to commit to become the best version of yourself. Commit to becoming the best version. It's in your interest for you to become the best version of yourself, to become that guy that the world cannot do without, that person that your sector cannot do without, that person that every time a meeting needs to hold, you must be in the room, right? And so these are things I want you to reflect on even as we go on our holiday. Now, when it comes to the 7 factors that governs the world, the number 1 factor is the power of beliefs, right? And that says at the root of your success and failure is the power of your beliefs. Bible says to him that believes, all things are possible. To him that believes, all things are possible. If you stretch that verse a little bit, it actually means to him that believe as I believe and can think my thoughts and execute my action, all things are possible. That scripture is not a positive scripture, it's a neutral scripture. What it means is if you believe that you are the best that exists, it is a possibility for you. If you believe that the whole world is against you, it's a possibility. If you believe that you are part of the masses and the government is cheating you, it's possible. If you believe that you can be in the room and be among the decision makers, it is possible. If you believe you can be a billionaire, it is possible. If you believe that you are perpetually broke, it is possible. If you believe you can be healed, it is possible. At the root of failure and success is the power of your belief. The question is, what do you believe about yourself? What beliefs has held you back in the past? And which ones have propelled you forward? How can you challenge your limiting belief? If you go to some of our past sessions, I taught on how you can change your limiting beliefs, right? And so you need to know that your belief is not sacrosanct. It was something you were conditioned to believe by either the people that stood in front of you, or your mentors or your role models, or something you have come to accept. Your belief is not often the truth. Your belief is the conviction you have held to be true, right? And so if you know me very well, you know I always use the analogy of the masquerade, right? That somebody looks at the masquerade and all he sees is an evil spirit. And he begins to shout, fall down and die, fall down and die. Because that's all he sees. I believe is that a masquerade is an evil spirit that is promoting immorality or promoting evil, or promoting fetishism or juju or whatever, right? And so begins to shout Holy Ghost fire. But the son of the masquerade, looked at himself and know that his father is doing business. And so the son of the masquerade owner is praying, God, let my father beat as many people as possible so that they can give him money today, right? So somebody is casting Holy Ghost fire. Another person is praying to God, God, let my father make a lot of money. Now, another person looks at the masquerade and what he sees is a costume and customs, right? And that's a white guy. He comes to Nigeria, look at the masquerade, and he takes a selfie with the masquerade. All through his mind. I mean, we're taking a course where I was facilitating a course, Family System Engineering Certification, and there were, I think, about 3 Black Americans in the class. And so I showed them the picture of the masquerade, and I asked them what comes to their mind, they said nothing, right? That it would be so nice to take a picture with the masquerade. Now, because they are worldview where they're coming from, there is nothing like masquerades are evil spirit. And so the third guy takes a picture. So someone is casting Holy Ghost fire, another person is praying for business, another person is taking the picture. Another person looks at the masquerade and says, who is the person that supports that supplies the costume of the masquerade? And so that person decides to begin to come, the person who supplies the costume. That person also gets into mega business, right? 4 people, 4 beliefs. Now the 5th person looks at it and it says, this masquerade can make a lot more money, but then people are always running away from him. So he gets into a research and is asking, why do people run away from the masquerade? Number 1, the masquerade is always holding cane in his hand. So he said, let us remove the cane and let us put gifts in his hand. Then his voice is always coarse and scary. Let us change the voice and do voice training and make him sound nice. Number 3, he looks at his costume and he realizes that the costume is always looking very dirty and scruffy. And he says, let us change the costume. So he goes to China, he buys, creates a new costume, black, white, and red, right? And then gives the masquerade a facelift, remove the mask, gives him a beard that looks like white, puts a red and white cap on him, dresses him and names him Santa, and creates a story around Jesus Christ around this Santa. And he brings him out every December. What do you think begins to happen? The first man who was calling masquerade evil spirit will carry his own child by himself and take his child to Santa and even pay money for his child to view Santa. He doesn't know that it's the same masquerade that was shouting Holy Ghost fire that is still Santa. The only difference is that costume has changed, voice has changed, and what is in the hand has changed, right? It's called reinvention. That guy makes more money. Another person looks at it and say, okay, why can't we start most beautiful masquerade in the world, like they do most beautiful girl in the world? So every nation, bring your masquerade and let us turn it to a reality show. So Netflix collects the the license, and then they blow it up. It becomes a global show. Annually, people bring masquerade. So every nation contests the most beautiful masquerade. And so it becomes a major industry. Now, all these people are bound by their beliefs of a data. And so your belief can hold you bound, and your belief can also set you free. The question is not what you believe. The question is, how do you believe what you believe? So to him that believes, all things are possible. That's why God told Peter, do not call unclean what I call clean. It was God that called the thing unclean in the Old Testament, but now God is saying it's clean. Many of us are stuck with what God has said. We are not in touch with what God is saying, right? And so dispensation and life keeps changing, but human beings are stuck in the past. The biggest enemies of the new move of God are the custodians of the old move of God. They are still waiting for the ancient landmark. They are still stuck in the past, not knowing that God has moved into the future. And so belief is number 1. Elon Musk is able to say, let us go to Mars because of the power of his belief. Bill Gates is able to say, I will create a product from the university, I will drop out, and this product will be used all over the world because of the power of his belief. Mark Zuckerberg, the power of his belief. Emile Locon, the power of his belief. That's why he's our president, because he looked at a certain president and he said, you cried on TV, no matter what happens, Emile Locon. People hated him. They say they sell sign for him, Baba we nowhere. They shouted me local and they shake, let they shake, but still the guy went ahead to win the election. He defeated everything that stood in his way. Now it's called the power of your belief. The question is, what do you believe about life and what do you believe about yourself? And that takes me to number 2. The number 2 force that controls the world is narrative management. What it means is if you can spin a narrative in your alternate world and get people's buy-in, you will control your reality and you will control the masses. Now, I look at Nigeria, for example, and I applaud the scriptwriters of Nigeria, because every time the Nigerian people should lift up their arms against government, they will spin something that will distract the people. So last week, we moved from Davido's wedding as a nation. That was the talking point as a nation, right? And yet there were bigger things that government was doing against the people that the people could have been talking about. But Davido's wedding took the central stage. By the next day, fights started. Yam scatter all over social media, from very dark man to I guess the lady called Yabo Ojo and Mobi Kubana, Tunde Ednot. That became the talking point. It was trending #1 in America. We were looking at it and wondering what is happening. Then there was another guy, maybe they said he impregnated like 4 girls or 5 girls or something. Those were the things that trended in Nigeria. No innovation trended. No reinventions trended, no new factory trended, nothing that can add value to the economy. The fact that tomatoes is now unaffordable did not trend, right? What was trending was a certain guy's wedding and the fight that erupted afterwards. Narrative management is how the world operates, right? America is called God's own nation, right? And that's why a lot of people gravitate towards America. I live in America. You can't see anything that looks like God's own nation here, but then that's narrative. Britain colonized the entire world by spinning a narrative. Narrative controls the world and controls the people. You must know that's why the word is called scriptures. From the scriptures, you can find the word script. Every system owner runs a script. Every script is patterned after an agenda. So if you don't understand the agenda that the script is patterned after, that's called the scripture, you will lose out in the power game. So as you go out, you must be able to create your own narrative. Undaboski says, I am the power, I am the war, I am Lepadu, I am Sefasi Prare, I am Undaboski Pause. It kept creating that narrative, kept creating the narrative, and it came to national consciousness. What it means is, if you keep quiet about the narrative that you should spin on your behalf, then the world will colonize you. If someone around you says that I am powerful, then you have a right to also say to the person, I am equally powerful. If someone around you says, I am super anointed, you don't close your mouth and begin to defer to the person. You have a right to also say, I am anointed, because anointing, like I've explained before, is the word empowerment. So you need to spin narrative. And now you can see a lot of narratives on social media. I mean, look at the presidential election in America. There was a debate, and the sitting president, of course, he was weak. He forgot a few lines, but everything he said was based on facts, right? But the other of his opponent, he lied all through. But guess what? The person that won the debate is the guy that lied all through, because, he had the power of the media, and he was able to spin his narrative successfully. That is why it is now said that bold and loud is the new right. Bold and loud is the new right. And I always say to people that loud and bold will become the new right when right is not bold and loud. Loud and bold will become the new right when right is not loud and bold. Many of you are doing important things. You are doing amazing things, but you are not loud and you are not bold. I thought I was quite popular until I went on the Honest Bunch and I began to see, who is this guy? Where has he been? Who is this guy? Where has he been? And I started laughing at myself to say, praise you. Nobody knows you really, right? And so we need to be loud. You need to be bold. You need to be audacious with your ideas and with your narrative. Fear not, O little children. It is your Father's wish to give you the kingdom. You need to be loud. You need to be bold. You don't allow your mistakes define you. There are many of you who have done a lot of good things, but you keep talking about your past mistakes, right? You have graduated, you have won awards, you have gotten promotion, you have built a house, you have traveled, but you are not spinning that narrative as the first of its kind in your lineage. What you're talking about is, you got pregnant, you lost a marriage. What of all the other things that has worked? I mean, you can lose a marriage and look at yourself and say, I'm a divorcee, my spouse left me. But you can also look at the same situation and say, you know what? Life has given me another opportunity to find someone who is more kind and who is more excellent. Wow, I am one of the few people who are favored to be able to be in a position to make their choices more intelligently again. That is your narrative. Some people call it divorce. They are crying, but you have spinned it in a way that, you made it alive. And so you have spinned your narrative in your favor. And so we need to understand and ask the question, can you think of a time when a narrative influenced your perspective on a major world event? Right? There are so many events that has been spinned. I mean, I remember when Buhari was coming in, because our nation did not have history. They spin the new narrative to us. He's a Democrat. They wore suits for him. He looked good. Oh, you know, good Lord Jonathan has destroyed everything. You know, and all of us bought into it, including myself. I campaigned for him. I even donated a few widow's mite that I had to say, this man will save Nigeria. So every time politicians say we're coming to save you, what I now hear is that we are coming to take our share of the national cake. Because you know that Buhari wasted 8 years of our national life, right? Using toothpick in Aso Rock, when it could have been decisive on issues. But how did we vote a man who failed in 1984 again in how many years later? Right? It was narrative management. He hired the best media gurus and they spin the narrative. That's why the goal of media is not to speak the truth. The goal of media is to promote an agenda. And so what is the narrative? Jesus came and he says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father except by me. That is bold. That's a bold narrative. It's never been heard before. They pick up stone to stone him. He says, I and my Father are one. That's a narrative, right? And so the question is, do you speak so highly of yourself? When you sell what you sell, do you sell it like I am the way, the truth, and the life? Do you say to them, this my product is your final bus stop. You use this product, you don't need to use another one again because this product is anointed and it works all the time. How do you spin your narrative? Your narrative is yours, and that's number 2. Number 3 is family. Family. The family you belong can determine the boundaries of your power and influence. The family you belong can determine the boundaries of your power and influence. Now, there is a young man that is in Nigerian government. I won't tell you his portfolio, but when people were in school, I mean, I know him and I know his friend. When they were in school, he's always said he was going to be governor of a particular state. And so while people were doing NYSC, he went straight into politics. And because he was very intelligent, worked his way. I mean, when Tinubu, the president of Nigeria, got into power, they gave him a very powerful portfolio, right? Why? Because he belonged to the family. Some of you are more intelligent than him, but you don't belong to the family. I'm sure you remember Fisayo said that wealth is passed through families. And you are either on the table or you are on the menu. Many of us are on the menu. Policies are made that affect us because we're in the room. Why are we not in the room? Belief system. Our belief says politics is dirty. Oh, they will try to sleep with me. Oh, they will try to use me. Is everybody there they are sleeping with? You know, these people are using juju. They can try to kill me. We are the most fearful people, and yet we say we are the light of the world. The family you belong to. In fact, in all our families, I'm sure you have siblings. I mean, if I ask you right now, is there anybody here who doesn't have a sibling or someone in your family that you don't like, right? That you know this person, his behavior is on, you don't like the behavior. Is there anybody like that? Can you type yes? There's somebody in your family, there's nobody in your family that you detest, right? But if you are here, you know there's somebody in your family, you don't approve their behavior, but you still love them and you have not chased them away from your family. If you have anybody like that in your family, can you type yes? Can you type yes? You have someone, you don't like their behavior, you can't even stand their behavior, but they are still your family, and you still call them family, and you still treat them as family. Anybody, right? Can you type yes? Okay, Lena says yes. You can see. Only Lena has someone like that in their family, okay? Other people don't have, you all have good people in your family, right? I would type yes, right? There are people like that, but they have remained family. So why would you look at people that you say you can't stand because they have side chick, but they are in power and you are not willing to engage them? So you see the problem, the hypocrisy. We treat our own blood with empathy. We treat other people who are not our blood with judgment. Meanwhile, the same energy it took you to accommodate that person in your family who is irrational is what it takes to understand those other people, to say, I am not going to endorse their behavior, but I will be in the room, right? Because they have power. And so you'll see that many of us, we have elastic bandwidth to accommodate people, but we have just chosen not to use it because they don't belong to our family and they don't belong to our lineage. See, the best musician is in America is not the person that performs during presidential inauguration. The musician that belongs to the family is the one that gets invited. Before this meeting, I got a call. It was one of my brothers in Dallas. He's doing a ball, and he was saying to me, Praise, I want you there, right? I want you to come and pitch what you do. Why? We belong to the same family. The family you belong to will determine the boundaries of your power. There is only a reason why Uncle G is on this call. Uncle G is so intelligent. Why is Uncle G not CBN governor, right? Uncle G is not a member of the family, right? If I walk into power right now and I become president of Nigeria, right? And guess who is going to be CBN governor? Is either God's will or maybe Fisayo, right? Because those are my family members. So when people talk about nepotism, you don't put someone you have not tested in power, right? You got to put someone you can trust, especially in critical area. National character counts for nothing when it comes to the people you can fully trust to flow along your agenda, because you don't want to put an enemy in those critical areas. And so that is how the world operates. You don't have to like it. That is how you operate. You don't become great by positioning around weak people. Find those that vibe and make them your tribe. Many of us have good heart. You want to help the poor. You want to help the weak. The only problem is that you yourself, you are still weak and you are still poor. Now, so you are like someone who is fetching water in a well with a bowl that is bigger than you. Very soon the well is going to fetch you in. And so my mentor told me many years ago, I used to work in Ajegule and help young people. And I said, I want to rent a house. I want to get married. And he said, where are you planning to rent the house? And I said, Ajegule. And he said, why? He said, because I'll be closer to the people and I'll be able to help them more. My mentor laughed and he said to me, let me show you something. That was when Dexter first came out. He showed me a diagram of a pulley and a lever. On one side of the lever is an elephant. On the other side is a human being. And my mentor said, ask me a question, very stupid question, I must say. Who will be down? Who will be up? No brainer. The elephant will be down, I'll be up. Why? The elephant has bigger weight. So he asked me, what must you do for the elephant to be up and for you to be down? I couldn't answer the question. I was like, if I eat more food, what kind of food will you eat that will make you weigh more than an elephant? And so I said, I don't know the answer. So he laughed. He said, what you do is you extend the lever farther away from the elephant. The farther away it is, the more the elephant can become light. And so he said to me, you don't help people by staying close to them. You help them better by moving farther away from them. He said, if you move farther away, as you are moving into the future, you will meet new people, new relationships, power blocks, power brokers. And those new relationships are the people you will need to help the people better. I took that advice. I didn't set up my house in Ajegule. And I noticed that the moment I set up my house in Surulere, right, many of the people couldn't even visit me. I was the one going to visit them. But I have gone into the future. I was able to help some of them pay school fees, secure scholarship, and help them better without necessarily staying close to them. A lot of the times, what I've discovered is that people who stay close to the problem begin to look like the problem after a while, right? So look at those people who are into rehabilitation and stuff like that. If they stay close to the problem, very soon they begin to look like it in their dressing. They no longer care about anything again because the environment can totally change their outlook. So the family you belong to can determine the boundaries of your power and influence. As you go on holiday, you want to ask yourself, what family do you belong? The family you belong, and I'm not talking about blood family, your circles. It could be your religious space. It could be the groups you belong to. How powerful are they? If you run into crisis today, can they bail you out? Can you even bail people out? How strong are you? What is the vibe you are hearing? What numbers are you hearing? If you are still in those meetings where what you hear are demons of your father's house, demons of your mother's house, demons, you are almost doomed. You need to run out of those kind of meetings. Those are not the kind of things you want to hear. I want you to go for meetings where you are hearing 1 trillion project, 2 trillion project, $2 trillion project, how do we change the world? How do we do this? Those are the kind of meetings you want to be going into because, or how do we take over Togo? How do we take over Benin? Blah, 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 blah. Those are the meetings you should be attending. And so you want to find out someone who can mentor you because families, you are either born or you are adopted. We say that we're adopted into Abraham's family. Abraham blesses and I, we sing it as song. The same way you can be adopted into the families that control Nigeria. You can be adopted into the families that control Ghana, that controls Zimbabwe, that controls Libya, that controls everywhere. You can be. And how do you get in? If you are competent in a particular skill that they need, you can even volunteer the skill to someone who is within to say, can I be your social media manager? I notice you are doing so much, but you don't have anybody managing your social media. Don't worry, you don't have to pay me. If you volunteer, you can serve your way in there, right? And so, but then you need to prepare for palace protocol. So family becomes critical. Wealth is passed through families. There are projects that you are competent for that your name will never be mentioned except you are a part of the family. And so you want to seek adoption. Like I said weeks ago, when you are in part of the family, what you get is appointment. If you are not in the family, you'll be seeking employment up and down. So you have to choose, do you want appointment and you want employment, right? With employment, you have to go through stage 1 of the interview, stage 2 of the interview. They might say they don't like you, they don't want you. With appointment, hey, all you need is being part of the family and being competent. And lastly, I will talk about number 4, audacity. Audacity. The world will stand aside for a man that looks like he knows what he's doing and where he's going. I want you to observe the use of the words intentionally. I did not say the word will stand aside for a man that knows where he's going. He doesn't have to know where he's going. In fact, Jesus says, if the blind follows the blind, both of them will fall into a ditch. Because he recognized that majority of people can be following the blind. The blind does not know the way, but people are following him because they assume that he knows the way. So the blind leads them. I know that song, carry me where I know I don't know. It's carrying me to where I don't know. In Nigeria, right? That's what is. Some people have been taken to where they don't know, and they are not asking questions. If your leader or you belong to a movement, they promised you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 will happen if you join, and you've joined and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 has not happened. You've earned the right to ask questions. What is going on? Right? Especially if it's a movement that takes a lot of your time, a lot of your energy, a lot of your resources, right? That takes a lot of your hard-earned money, and then you volunteer your services. If things are not moving the way you've been projected to move, then you must ask questions, right? The world will stand aside. Your leader may be a blind man leading also blind people. That's why the criteria for followership cannot be knowledge, cannot be ignorance. The criteria for followership is that you know yourself, at least you know where you want to go. So that when they are taking you to where it doesn't look like it, you can disembark. You have boarded the bus, you want to go to Abuja. The driver now faces Badagry. Now, you can recognize that the road to Badagry does not lead to Abuja. So you can quickly say, please, can I come down? But if you continue to go and say, you know, I'm just praying, I'm praying we'll land in Abuja, the next place you will see is Aflao, right? That's Togo, right? And if you continue to pray, I believe God, I trust God. You first see Cotonou. From Cotonou, you will see Aflao. From Aflao, the next place you will see is Ghana. Welcome to Ghana. If you still insist, you just find yourself in the desert one day, right? And that is why audacity is become very key. An audacious, an ignorant man who sells his ignorance with audacity. We have more patronage than a good man or an honest man who sells his honesty with timidity. Many of us are very timid. When they ask you, can you do this? I don't know. No, I can do it, right? An audacious man will dare anything, right? You sit on your table and you are saying, what project can I do that will affect the whole of Nigeria? That is a level of thinking. You sit and say, what project can I do that will affect the entire world? That will make the entire world. The capacity to even ask those questions and think at that level is audacity, right? To say, what am I doing here? I can do a lot more, right? What am I charging? I can charge anything I want to charge. It's audacity. It takes audacity for people to say, when you sit with them for 1 hour, you pay $50,000 and they repeat it over and over again. Does that mean that they get 10 people every week that sit with them for $50,000? No. What they have just done is they have matched narrative with audacity to work on your mind to know that when you are going to with them, so if they are charging $50,000 per hour, if what you have is 10,000, you first disqualify yourself. Then when you meet them, you now go and meet them and say, sir, please, can you take 10,000? I don't mind doing any other thing for you, right? And so even when they take the 10,000, you know they've done you a lot of favor because they are perpetually in your face. Now, how are you using that to your own advantage? Audaciousness, audacity. You need to show that you know where you're going. You don't even have to know where you're going. You just need to look like you know where you're going and what you're doing. So when was the last time you took a bold step? even if it's uncertain, and what was the outcome? How do you distinguish between audacity and recklessness? And what is the appearance of confidence important when pursuing your goal? You need to understand that the world is ruled by laws. This world is ruled by laws, and you are not the owner of the law. And so ignorance of the law is not an excuse in court. That you are ignorant of the law does not mean you will not suffer the consequence of not knowing the law. And so you want to live from this meeting and begin to observe your world. You want to begin to ask yourself, what area am I deficient at? And so what is, from the 4, there are about 7 of them, but I've shared 4. Which one do you think is a problem for you right now? Which one have you not mastered? Can you put it on the chat box? What is your area of deficiency? So as you go for Sabbath, I want you to work on that area of deficiency and emerge back in August, right? To say, I am now audacious. So Favor says audacity for me. You need to show up like Christ and begin to say, I am the way, the truth, and the life. You know that statement smells like blasphemy, but that's what you need to do, right? If you repeat it long enough, people will believe you, people will come towards you, and people will begin to move in your direction, because it shows, because people ask me, why are people attending Daboski's meetings, right? It's audacity. The guy has a measure of audacity, even when what he's saying doesn't make sense. The people there, they know what they're looking for. So you need to be audacious, and you need to create your narrative. You need to move as if the whole world belongs to you, because the whole world actually belongs to you. The spirit that God released into you is not an inferior spirit. It's a spirit after his own kind. You were made in his image. You were made in his kindness. The problem is that many of us have stopped reflecting God. We have started reflecting the people we spend our time with, right? It is time to take your life back and begin to reflect God and know and conclude you are not inferior to anyone. However, when you get into certain meetings and you can spot the leader, you know you can outshine the leader. So you have to be wise as serpent there and know that in your territory, it's called the territorial principle. In your territory, you are a king. When you step into someone else's territory, you are not a king, you are a subject. So you are bound by their rules and you navigate their rules, but in your own territory, you are the king. That's why, for those of you who have watched the new series, the sequel to Oloture, you will notice that the chains of command when it comes to girls trafficking in Africa, there is, so I was teaching someone yesterday who was with me when we were watching it. I said it's called the principle of the dog owner, the dog handler, and the dog. In every place you find yourself, you must always ask yourself, who is the dog? Who is the dog handler? And who is the dog owner? Right? The dog owner is the person I want to relate with. The dog his job is to bark. They make a lot of noise. We will deal with you. We will da 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 da. A dog owner never says that, right? A dog owner will not. In fact, if you attack a dog owner, they will not likely respond to you, because a dog owner is asking the question, who is attacking me? So if somebody is attacking me right now and I check the person out and I notice that the person is a dog, I won't respond to him, because he most likely knows that my response will give him more mileage. By attacking me and I respond, all my followers will know him, and I'm not going to give him that benefit. So you always have to ask, who is the dog, right? So if you look at the chains of child trafficking or girls trafficking, prostitution ring in Nigeria, you will see the dog owner. The dog owner are usually in policy. They are usually in government. They are usually in power. Those are the dog owners, but you cannot trace it to them. The dog handlers are the ones you see. So the pimps, the women who carry the girls up and down, the transactional people, those are the dog handlers. They are handling on behalf of, so they have the power they defer to. But when you see them, they look like the de facto power. Then you have the dog themselves. The dog are the last in the chain of command before you go to the final command, before you go to the product. Where the girls are the products, the dogs are the ones who manage the girls, who manage the prostitute ring. Those are the dogs, right? And so everywhere you find yourself, you exist. So when you see a man in power, you want to ask yourself, is this man the dog handler? Or is it the dog? Or is it the dog owner? Right? Oftentimes in Nigeria, the dog owner don't even live in Nigeria. The dog owners are foreign nations, right? And then the dog handlers are the ones you interact with and you think that, oh, this man is powerful. So you need to understand some of these things. Someone is asking what is 5, 6, and 7. I don't have time to teach that today, right? But can we go and work with what you've had so far? Can you go and reflect on this teaching and take your notes and take action point and share your actions with us? Let me tell you, you have all it takes to succeed. The power is within you, but the rules are not your rules. The rules have been set before you were born, but you must learn to navigate the rules and learn how to win. I want to wish you a happy Sabbath. I want you to spend time with your family. Spend time, take a lot of pictures. We're going to ask for your pictures. We want to see how your Sabbath went. So rest a lot. 1 month, we're not going to meet. We'll come back on in August, and then we'll continue our meeting. And please don't forget, we now have devotional for teenagers. You can subscribe to it. We have a webinar on Sunday next week, 8 p.m. Nigerian time, 2 p.m. Central time. You might want to join. And then we have something for singles as well. Because singles are always accused of we don't do anything for them. We have something for singles that holds, I think it started every Friday night or something. I don't have the full details. There's a team working on that. But then we are going to cover every area of needs as they show up. I want to appreciate all of you, all our leaders. I want to appreciate all of you, especially the ones in the UK. The UK team is on steroids. Thank you, the North America team as well, for all you do, Canada, America, UK, Europe, Africa. Thank you very much. This is House of Saviors. You know, we determine what happens. So go ahead, save your world. Let us rest this 1 month and come back refreshed, because we have to fire on all cylinders, right? And then when we come back, we look back to December. We backtrack to December. Fast forward to December, and we will have achieved everything we are all set to achieve. Thank you very much. If you have any question, I can answer your question. But if you don't have any question, I will hand over back to Oluwaseun Oshekoya. Yeah, Oluwaseun, over to you.
Thank you so much, PF.